Hello and welcome to my show, High Earning Coaches. I'm Ashley Jangro, your host, and today we are hearing from Liz Wilcox. Liz is a good friend and a super genius when it comes to email marketing. Liz, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. Thank you for listening. I can't wait to get into this.
I can't wait either. I think you have some really brilliant advice to share with people. So, just give us a quick introduction. Tell us about your business and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so you know that feeling you get when you listen to an awesome podcast like this one, and there's somebody on there screaming about email marketing and how, if you're not emailing, what are you even doing with your life? And so, you open up your active campaign or your keep or whatever, and then you promptly feel kind of silly because you have no idea what the heck to write. Well, what's up? I'm Liz Wilcox, and I help eliminate that problem. I make email marketing and writing in particular actually pretty darn simple.
Oh, I love that you said that because I know that feeling. I use Aweber and I have that feeling all the time. I open it up and I see like the little layout of what I can do. And I'm like, I have no idea what to say. And I just feel ridiculous, exactly like you just said. So, how do you do that? How do you make it simple?
Yeah, so number 1, I just want you to know that unlike a lot of other marketers, I don't think you actually have to be this amazing storyteller. I think you can connect in other ways. For example, before we hit the record button, Ashley and I, we were just catching up. We weren't necessarily telling stories. Oh, I went to the bank and then this and then this. We were just kind of bantering back and forth, giving, like a 1 minute update. Then Ashley goes, then I go. And I think you can do that in your emails. I call it a short personal update. So instead of telling a story, just give an update like you would if you were catching up with a friend on the phone. Just one, two, maybe three sentences about something you've done since the last time you emailed, and then just get into your content. And you can do this, you can segue really simply with anyway, dot, dot, dot. What I really needed to share today is I've got 2 openings next week for one-on-ones. I've got this new blog post. I have a new podcast interview. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. So just a really simple email formula, again, is that personal update at the top that helps you connect with your audience, like those storytellers tell you to do.
Uh-huh.
And then the segue, and again, the segue can be caps lock anyway, dot, 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 and then just get into the content. The same way we have a phone conversation, quick little niceties up at the top. Anyway, I'm calling you because, I forgot
Oh,
my keys. Can you bring them to me? Right. So, same in the inbox.
oh my gosh. I feel like we could end the podcast right here. And there was just so much value already. That was so good because I feel like you just gave me so much freedom. Like the next time I sit, and it's so crazy because you're right. It is what we do. It's what we just did with the conversation, but I don't think about that in terms of email. So you just provided a lot of freedom. So what is tell us about your business specifically. How do you make it incredibly easy for people to email out?
Yeah, so on top I call that like the 20-minute newsletter framework, and I actually have a $9 a month membership where I write those emails for you. So, I take it from 20 minutes to maybe 10 or 5 depending on your perfectionism, right? So, every single week I send you a weekly newsletter based on that 20-minute framework. So, even if it's still hard for you to think, "Oh, well, I'm not interesting. I don't know what that personal update should be." I literally give you that, and then I give you every single week, like, "Oh, today, share a podcast, whether it's yours or someone else's. Oh, share this, share that. Oh, here's where you can sprinkle in a sale. Here's where you should take a pause from the templates and do a launch, et cetera, et cetera." But
Mm,
really, what I want, I mean, aside from, my membership, like my main mission really is to just help you understand that email doesn't have to be complicated. I know it feels that way.
mhm.
It's, on top of every other marketing piece. But what I love about email and how we can make it simple is email is consent based. I opt in to hear more from you, right? That's consent. And
Mhm.
so you have this permission to be yourself, to share what you need because the person has consented to it, right? And so you can keep it simple. It's not like you're having to pull one over on someone, or, with Facebook ads, even you have to stop the scroll, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
to write copy that catches someone's attention, because I don't know about you, but when I turn my phone on and I click Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I'm doing that to dissociate, right? Like, my
Yeah.
kid is driving me nuts. I've got to cook dinner in 10 minutes. Like, just give me 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're writing ad copy, you've got to pull me in,
Interrupt
right?
that.
And
Yeah.
I'm in a very passive, like, brain status. But with email, it's so much different. I'm going and I'm clicking on Gmail because I'm searching for something. Oh, I signed up for that recipe. I gotta cook dinner in 10 minutes. Where'd that recipe go? Or how much is my light bill? I gotta send that over to my husband. And so we're in our inboxes in a much different way. And so because of that, coupled with, hey, this person consented to hear from me, they want to hear more
Mhm.
from me, it can be this much more relaxed form of marketing where you can, sort of, I don't know, loosen the bun in your hair and just say, "Hey, this is what I've been up to this week. Oh, by the way, I've got 2 spots over here. Check them out if you want them."
Oh my goodness. I had no idea how passionate you were about email. Like it's really fun to listen to because you really have thought through like this is why it's such a valuable marketing tool. It's so good. So I want to get into, and part of the reason we do this show is so that other coaches can see there's so many ways to build a coaching business. And we sometimes joke because Liz doesn't necessarily think of herself as a coach. However, as a part of her membership, she has a Facebook group, and I see her coaching people in that Facebook group all the time because people feel awkward sending emails or they're scared about being vulnerable, and she instantly like slips into coach role. So I want to talk about just what it's like to have a low cost membership. So you said yours is $9 a month, which, oh my goodness, as you guys listen to this podcast, you're going to understand it is a complete no brainer to be part of it. And I just want to talk about like how you came up with that idea, like what it was like to start a membership and kind of maybe some of the things that you went through as you were starting it. So what made you decide to start a $9 membership?
Low responsibility. I guess
Mhm.
maybe, and we all have mindset issues, right? Maybe a part of mine with the word coach has always been, a coach has a lot of responsibility, right?
Mhm.
They're there to, super guide you into success. And I have a lot of responsibility outside of my business. I'm a single mom. I support my mother financially. And mentally, I support a lot of people. I'm that person in the family. And if you're a coach, you probably get that too. There's a lot of us that are, that, matriarch of the family, the one holding it all together. And so when I thought about coaching and things like that, I just realized I just can't handle any more responsibility in my business. Taking clients I felt so responsible. And
Mm.
so when I thought about creating a membership, because you need volume in your business, even if you have a very high ticket, you're going to need one right after the other, right? There's some level of volume there. And I thought, if I can deal with a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people in my personal life, but the one-on-one is just too much for me. So if I can just get them with their first, like get them going, baby steps, and then I can hand them off to someone when they need one-on-one, that would be my ideal business, my
Mhm.
ideal way of coaching. I can help you, get started. I'm a good motivator. Um, and so, I can get people to take the first few steps.
Mhm.
But, once it gets serious, maybe there's a commitment issue. Who knows? Once it gets
Yeah.
serious, you move on to the next. I want to stay with my babies over here, right? And so I really thought about, well, what can I create? And we already talked, it's a newsletter template membership.
Mhm.
That felt like just the right amount of responsibility of, hey, I can send you this once a week. It's up to you
Mm.
to implement it. And
Mhm.
then the $9 felt so like, if you're not watching the video, you can kind of see my body relaxing of, if you don't send it, much love, but I'm not going to feel personally responsible. And I think as coaches, we often feel so responsible for our client's success.
Mhm.
And, it's not, we can't push them to the finish line, right?
Mm-mm.
And so, especially for $9, that has helped me alleviate a lot of that pressure of, even when someone says, "Oh, Liz, I wish the membership had this. I wish you would do this. I wish, I
Mhm.
wish, I wish." I said, "Well,
It's
thank
$9.
you. Yeah, yeah, thank you for your feedback. For $9, I hope you still feel like you're getting what you need."
This is amazing to me because I think, I mean, I obviously pay the $9. I actually pay the 108 to become, to get all the bonuses to have the year-long membership. And
Mhm.
I think you over deliver such an incredible amount. So when you're talking about your responsibilities outside of this, I can't go through this whole show without mentioning that you are a current Survivor contestant. The second week just came out. So if you're listening to this now, you have to go watch Liz and Survivor. If you're listening to this later, so exciting. I don't know the ending yet, so I'm really excited to watch along. But I love this explanation because wherever we are, every time Liz and I are in a mastermind together, and everywhere we go, someone says to her, "You should really raise your prices." And Liz is like, "Yeah, I know. I hear that a lot," because she
Thank you.
over delivers so much. And I love this explanation. Like you loved that amount of responsibility.
Yeah, well, let's talk about, even the fact that I was able to go on Survivor. So,
Mhm.
filming for that show was 5 weeks, 5 full weeks without my cell phone. Can you imagine
Oh,
being off
wow.
the internet completely? And I ended up actually taking 2 months off after filming to recoup. If you've never seen Survivor, it's pretty cutthroat and they don't feed you. So it took me a long time to get back, to get out of the feral stage and back into the, business owning mom stage, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and so part of that, like being a coach, being a business owner, being a service provider, is when you're creating your offers, thinking about, well, what do I actually want? Like, yes, I love
Mhm.
helping people. I think that's pretty obvious. My membership has almost 5,000 people at the time of this recording. I love impact. I love
Yes.
making a difference. Even part of wanting to go on that show was to show people, what's possible. I went on
Mhm.
there and I'm allergic to coconut. Coconut is the main source of food.
Oh.
And so I love showing people what's possible. But
Mhm.
I also thinking about, oh, if I want to be on Survivor one day, and I know not everyone can relate to that, but if I want to do X one day, how do I need to set up my business and my offers so that I can actually do X, right? If I had been, just yes, I love client work. I
Mhm.
wanna do that forever, or even just, I know I don't wanna do client work forever, but it's my bread and butter right now. I don't have time to slow down and create something else. I
Mhm.
never would have been on the show. I never
Mhm.
would have even applied because it couldn't have happened,
I think
right?
this is such a incredibly valuable nugget right here, where you're saying first, think about the kind of life you want and create your business around that, as opposed to looking at what is somebody else doing, how are they successful, how can I do this, and create based on that. But look at what do you value, what do you want for your future? So valuable. So and you kind of started mentioning this, but I imagine when you first started out, there wasn't enough members at $9 a month to financially support you. So, how did you create that runway?
Yeah, I was still, providing a service, like you listening, I had high ticket programs, one-on-one clients, I was doing copywriting a lot. And so that was the sort of bread and butter. But again, going back to what Ashley reiterated is, this is not what I want my life to look like forever. And so I know at $9, I need a lot of people to create my dream life. I knew that. And so I sat down with myself and I said, I'm going to give myself 2 years.
Okay.
In 2 years, if I can get 1,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
that's $9,000 a month. Wow, wouldn't that be something, right? Especially I feel like, as coaches, we know like, okay, if we can get close to that 5-figure mark a month, like
Uh-huh.
that feels like the pressure relief valve,
Mhm.
releasing. That feels like, okay, I'm doing something with my life, right?
Yeah.
And so that was my goal, but I was willing to wait 2 years, and I think that's where a lot of us get tripped up. We want our dream, we
Mm.
want it right now, and if it's not working, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I better go back to XYZ. And so as you're doing your client work, think about, is this how I want my life to look like in 2, 3, 5, 10 years? And if it's not, how much time do I need to carve out for me so that I can work on the thing that's going to help me get more freedom, XYZ?
This is such incredible advice. So, what did that look like for you? How many members did you get that first month? How did you start getting them? When did it start picking up the pace?
Yeah. So at the time of me creating my membership and launching it, because that was the same day,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, hey, I have this idea. Give me $9. Are
Uh-huh.
you in or out? Um, I had also just signed $20,000 worth of client work. And
So,
you
you
might
had
think,
a
oh
little
my,
bit of time to make
yeah,
this
I
work.
was like, oh my gosh, $20,000. But again, at the same time, it was like, this is not, I don't want to keep signing
Mhm.
$20,000 contracts and keep having to do $20,000 worth of work, right? It was too much responsibility.
Yeah.
So I did the work, I was doing my client work, and on the side, I'd set out, like an hour a day for Liz. And I wrote a contract with myself. Y'all, we have contracts with our clients. We need contracts with ourselves. And I wrote out, and it wasn't anything fancy. It was just in my notebook. And I wrote out, Liz, I promise to spend 1 hour on this membership and my business, even if it means, I have to put off my client work.
Okay. Wow.
And that's the thing, because sometimes it's like, well, your client is
This is
always
making
going
me
to have
money. Yep.
fires.
Mm-hmm.
Your client is always going to have an emergency. They're always going to ask for one more thing. You're always going to have one more idea for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to push aside our own business goals
Mm-hmm.
for their personal or business growth, depending on what kind of coach you are, right? And so I was coaching myself here and saying, no, we're not going to do that. And I told myself, if you got to get up early tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
to do the client thing, you're going to do your thing right now.
Wow.
2 to 3 p.m. That's Liz Wilcox. She's your number one client, and you will not let her down.
I love that you worded it that way. She's your number one client. So you started doing things like creating these emails that people could, the templates. You
Yeah.
started, were you like posting on your social media? Hey, come join this $9 membership?
Yeah. So, of course, I'm an email marketer, right? So, I'm going to tell you, if this is you, you should start doing things to grow your email list. So, that's what I did. I started emailing my list
Uh huh.
about the membership a lot, and I started growing my list. So, that 1 hour a day really was spent for the first few months. It was really just spent on networking, something you might think isn't productive, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, let me go spend 30 minutes in this Facebook group answering questions and just becoming sort of known, right? Not in any way. I never put my freebie link. I never mentioned I was an email marketer. I just answered questions related to my topic. And then eventually, people would add me on face. Oh, this girl's really smart. I want to get to know her. Let me add
Uh-huh.
her. Oh, you're an email marketer. Why didn't you say so? It's like, well, that's corny, And
Yeah.
so it takes more work, but it yields great results. So the first few months was just spent, networking, becoming
Uh-huh.
sort of known in a few key Facebook groups. Then I started pitching myself for podcasts, right? Pitching myself for private trainings. And then I started asking people who were members, as people started joining from my email list, hey, do you know someone who needs this?
Mm-hmm.
And I opened up an affiliate program. So it's 50%. If you get someone inside the membership, I give you $4.50. And that's when things really started taking off. Not that I found one giant affiliate who brought me 1,000 people, but it was, at this point, 500 people telling a friend, just
Mm-hmm.
telling one friend. And I think that's where a lot of advice about affiliate marketing uh, can hurt us, the little guy who's like, well, I don't have those giant affiliates. But as coaches, we have a friend who knows a friend. And
Yep.
it's not a bad idea as you're starting out, especially to just get a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Mhm.
And I was super happy to give away that $4.50.
I love it. I'm one of your affiliates. First of all, I love recommending your product. So every single one of my clients ends up hearing about your product. Several of them end up buying it. And I love getting those emails from you. Like, you just made $4.50. You just made $4.50. And it's so fun because it means to me that I know that this person's getting value from that. And every once in a while, I see one of your templates pop into my email inbox because I get them from my clients. So it's really fun.
That's
So
awesome.
so you said, how many months did it take you to get to that 500 members?
It took about, I believe, 6 months.
Okay.
And I already had an email list of 800 when I launched this product. And
Hmm.
I had already been I had had that email list for a little over a year. So I'd already been establishing myself as, this email marketer. And so I think that helped me. And so
Uh-huh.
the first 30 days, I had 100 people, and that was a big campaign. I want
Okay.
100 people in 30 days, 100 people in 30 days. And I think that's something, especially as coaches, it's so hard for us to promote ourselves. We
Hmm.
just want to help, right? But I knew that my product was going to be the best way I could help.
Mm.
And so that helped change my mindset from, oh, you can just have it, just check it out. If you like it, just let me know. You might be able to pay me, to, no, I know this is the best way I can serve you. Get in now.
This is
And so
so good. Yeah.
and so also gaining excitement. People want to be a part of something, right? So
Hmm.
saying, I want to get 100 people, I want to get 500 people, I want to get 1,000 people, actually helped me in getting those people, finding those people, because it's like, oh, 1,000 people, 100 people. What is this about? Let me check that out. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm one of those
I'd like
100.
to be one of those. Yes, I love that. So it took you, how were you getting people? So you already had your 800. What were you using to get people on your email list at that point? I mean, past the 800 once you started doing this.
Yeah. So my main lead magnet is a welcome sequence.
Hmm.
And I believe the very first thing, even if you don't have an email list yet, you should write your welcome sequence first. It's that really firm foundation. So if you're wondering how to grow your email list, like, think about the vision you have for your clients. If it's our last day together, this is what I want for my clients.
Hmm.
That And then think about, what do they need on the first day with you? That's your lead magnet. So for example, with Liz, I want you to make money with email. I don't care about your podcast. I don't care about your one-on-one services and how to package them. All I care is about your email list and the fact that it makes you money.
Hmm.
But then I think about, well, if we were just, this is a podcast, right? If you just heard of me, what's the one thing I want you to learn right away? It's that you need a welcome sequence. So that's my lead magnet. So if you're wondering, do I have the right, am I growing my list the right way? Think of it like that.
Oh, that is so good. Like, what's the very first thing that they need to learn from you and make that your lead magnet? So, so you hit that 500, and was there ever a point at any time in this that you felt like, okay, this is too hard. I don't want to do this.
No, never.
I think
Next question. No,
I know. I love that.
no, for me, again, it's knowing what the heck you want out of your life and how do you want your days to look. And it had probably helped, like, the year before I had done like a bunch of visualization. I was really into visualization, I think, during the pandemic.
Okay.
Like this is not what I want it to look like. What? And so doing a lot of visualization of, yes, I want this, I want that. No, I
Uh-huh.
don't want this, I don't want that. And trial and error, of course.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I knew, like, sure, sometimes it was like, oh, what am I going to do this week? Oh gosh, I'm too tired. I've got too much client work. But it was just reminding myself of that contract. Liz, you signed a
Mhm.
contract. And if you fulfill this contract, you will have the life you want. You
Mm.
will be on that path.
Mhm.
And so whenever it got to, oh, this is too hard, or whatever, Ashley just said, it was like, "Actually, no, it's not. What is really hard is when you give up on yourself." Like, doesn't that feeling suck, Liz? Like, we've all been there. Ashley's
Yep.
been there, you've been there, I've been there, right? Of when you had this idea and you didn't see it through. Gave up
That is
too
painful.
soon. That
Well,
is painful. That's what the coaches get paid big money to help
yes,
you
to
through,
help you
right?
deal with
So
afterwards.
don't do that to yourself.
But I'm
See it
listening
through.
to, so I asked that question to everybody that's on the show, and everyone has said, yep, there was a time where I felt like giving up. And I feel like the key components that helped you not want to are, first of all, that contract, the long term plan, the fact that you gave yourself 2 years. So it wasn't like after month three, you were like, okay, this isn't happening quickly enough. I can't support myself. So I have to give up. You told yourself, I'm going to give myself 2 years to make this happen. Then you had the contract with yourself, and then you had the vision of where it was going. So I think those key components allowed you not to have that feeling.
Yeah, and another thing, something that I do, and maybe this is why Ashley says I'm a coach.
Mhm.
This is how I interact with myself and my decision making, and what I advise everyone to do is when you're creating an offer or just and you're having to make a decision. I always ask myself just two questions. Number one, what would this look like if it was easy? And
Mm,
that kind of helps your brain simplify a few things, right? Like, oh, if it was easy, I'd start the podcast without the mic first. It
mhm.
helps us really cut out the fluff, cut out the perfectionism. And then the second question, because sometimes it's just not easy, right? It wasn't easy sometimes having to get up before my kid to finish the client work. So I had time for Liz later, right? I asked myself, what would this look like if it was fun?
Mm.
And between those two questions, I can usually find a path that ensures that I don't give up, that ensures that, when someone like Ashley asks me, did you ever think it was too hard? I can kind of laugh and say, no, this is exactly what I wanted to do.
I love this because in some of our mastermind meetings, if you're talking about doing something and it goes beyond just a couple of steps, you're like, nope, I keep it at 2 steps. It's going to be easy for me.
Yeah. So Ashley and I mean, we've done several in-person meetings, and I'm sure she's probably seen me where someone's giving me advice and she's like, Liz is about to cut them out.
Yep.
Like
Because it
she's
went
about
to
to
four
stop
or five
listening.
steps.
Like and usually I'll say, in a hot seat, you want to write everything down.
Mhm.
And usually like if I've written more than 5 things down, I'll end the hot seat and I'll say that I'm very full, thank you.
It's so good though, because you keep, and it's interesting because it's sort of like a paradox to me, because I think of you as one of the hardest workers I know.
Thank you. Wow.
But I mean, I look at the amount of content you produce and how often you're in your Facebook group giving feedback and giving advice, and you're doing live calls to give people advice, and you come out with these new products all the time that are incredibly valuable. And I know from behind the scenes that you keep it fun and easy, and it blows my mind. So I'm always amazed with how you do that.
Thank you. I think it just goes back to our original conversation of responsibility
Mhm.
and really learning. And this, I mean, this is a lifetime, y'all. Really just learning what are my priorities and I and like knowing and keeping your own promises of like, if these are my priorities, then this is my standard and I'm not going to break that contract with myself. And so
Mm.
as far as like keeping things simple and being able to, put out new products and, have 90-minute Q&As with 200 people on a call, it's because when I turn off my computer, I turn off my computer. I
Wow.
don't like if you should watch the video like right now. I'm pulling up my phone. This is just one page of my phone. Like I don't have apps on apps on apps. Like you don't see Facebook here, you don't see Instagram. I've never been on TikTok in my life. But that's because I have a commitment to my daughter, right? I'm a
Mhm.
single mom. I only have one kid. I only want one kid. I'm only getting one shot. And so it's really, I don't know, maybe that's the title of this episode, like how to have a contract with yourself. Like you wouldn't break a contract with a client for fear
Mhm.
of your life, right?
Yes.
But like when we continuously break our own
Mhm.
contracts, like our actual real life is suffering. And
Mm.
so being able to commit the same way you commit to your client's success, committing to your own success in and out of your coaching business, I mean, I don't know what else to say.
That's like the secret to success right there. That's amazing. Well, I feel like and this actually just happened on a call that I was on right before you. I feel like everyone that hears your story, that you have reached such incredible financial success with a $9 a month product. Everybody's like, do you know what they say? They're like, oh, I should do that.
I should do that.
Uh-huh.
Can we talk about that? No,
Yes,
you should
please.
not. You
Tell me
should do
why.
you should do what you want to do.
Mm,
I'm always discouraging people because I know, like, y'all, I just showed you my phone. I just told you I've never been on TikTok. That I know I'm an incredibly disciplined person.
mhm.
And not that it's impossible. I just started when I was like a kid. It's just, this is one of my natural strengths is to be incredibly disciplined. I know that about myself. And another natural strength of mine that I know about myself is I love a lot of people. I have a master's degree in leadership. I know how to rally a crowd and I'm not afraid of the masses, right? And so having this low cost, high volume membership and business works for me. I
Mm.
don't know if it's going to work for you. You might say, oh my gosh, she was on a live call with 200 people, break out in hives, right?
Yeah.
But you might like, oh, I like the one-on-one. I like
Mm.
the intimate. I like digging into this person's, you know, issue, this person's business, this person's fitness goals, whatever. To me, that makes me break out in hives. If I have to get on a one-on-one call with you, it feels like the weight of the world. It is like, oh my gosh, this person, all eyes on me, and they're going to do what I say. And if it doesn't work, holy crap. That's how I feel. You might feel
Mhm.
the opposite of, oh, I'm so excited. I know Ashley herself, she's always talking about like, oh yeah, I had a million ideas for them and we started doing this, that, and
Yep.
the other. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like to me, that's just so scary because I wouldn't want that much that I don't know. It doesn't make sense to you maybe, but it makes sense to me.
Well,
And so
and you know what's so funny about that is I think about what you do and you show up every single week and you write your template and you show up for your monthly call and like you're doing the same repetitive task over and over. And I think I could
yes.
never. I could never.
You know what? I love that Ashley brought that up because yes, I'm a disciplined person. Y'all, and I have a lot of food allergies. But honestly, being diagnosed with these allergies has made my life so much simpler for me
Mhm.
because it's now I don't have to think about what I eat. I eat almost the exact same thing every single day. Like Ashley said, I get on my computer, I do the exact same thing every day. The only variable is who I'm talking to,
Mhm.
right? Like I've done a podcast interview like this almost every single day this week at noon, which is
Oh my
at the time of
goodness.
this recording.
Uh-huh.
But that's what makes me feel safe. That's what makes me feel secure. And that's putting myself in a little box. I'm able to bounce around inside the box, and that's enough for me. And so, yeah, I just love that Ashley brought this up because you might think, no, I love working with different clients
Mhm.
so we can work on different issues and solve different problems. And to me, I'm screaming, I just want to solve one problem. Do not ask me about your podcast growth. All I am is the email lady,
Yep.
moving on.
And your life that you just described, I'm like, I start feeling claustrophobic. So it's a good wake up call to me. Like, I will never have a $9 membership. I will never trust myself to show up to do the same thing over and over. So I think that that's, you mentioned that when we talked about doing a podcast, you're like, nope, I would tell people don't just go out and start a low ticket membership. And I want people to come listen to this episode for that reason. Like, if you're like, oh, Liz has been so incredibly successful with a low ticket membership, maybe I should try that. She makes it look easy. And again, I want to emphasize she's one of the hardest workers I know because she continues to show up day in and day out for her audience. So I love that you gave that advice. Like, no, don't just start one. Think about what's important to you. And if you're similar to Liz, maybe it is. If you have that 2 year runway to make that happen, maybe it is something for you, but not just because she's been successful with it. Did that sum up kind of how you would answer that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just goes back to what we talked about at the top of the hour, like just being intentional. What do you want your
Mhm.
life to look like? How do you need to work creatively, and then go from there. It's always, and maybe this is my teaching background coming in. It's like begin with the objective in mind
Yes.
and
Know
then
why you're doing something.
yeah, don't listen to a million and one people and what they're doing.
Mhm.
And oh, Liz made $500,000 from her $9 membership. Surely I can do that too. It's like, yeah, you might get bored. I hear that a
Mhm.
lot of like, well, I did it for a year, but gosh, I feel so resentful and I'm
Mhm.
doing this and I'm doing that. And I'm like, it's not for you. Do something else. Like, this
Yeah.
is for me. I want you to do you. That's the exciting thing.
Yep. I love that. So as far as if someone were to say, yeah, I think that this is something that I want to do. This is something that really fits my values as a human. Is there any advice that you would have for people? Is there anything you wish you would have done differently or started earlier or any of that?
No. I mean, it's all, I have a very, like, I don't know, interesting mindset of like everything is just the way it is supposed to be right now.
Hmm.
So I don't, of course, like I wish I would have started sooner, but I wasn't ready before.
Hmm.
But I think my biggest piece of advice is just don't give up, fulfill
Mm.
the contract with yourself. If you say you're going to do something, you have to give it time. You can't I think it was Ramit Sethi says like the biggest mistake I see business owners making is they give up before it's successful. And
Wow.
that isn't to say, if you tried something and it really isn't working, don't abandon it. But it is, if like from your data and from your gut that yes, this is the direction I need to be going, forget the trends, right?
Mm.
Forget Liz Wilcox. Forget whatever else is happening around and just commit to doing the thing. I know Ashley and we were hanging out at Disney a couple months ago, and she said she was going to raise her prices and she
Mhm.
really wanted to start to work with certain kind of person. If I saw in 3 months she gave up on that, I'm calling her. Like, you didn't give it enough time.
Yes.
You haven't found the right room, things like that. So just really, if you feel in your gut, yes, this is the next right move.
Hmm.
Please, I'm begging you, like, don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
It's
A-
not that it's not working, it's that maybe you're not in the right place.
And it's
Maybe
hard
you don't know the
sometimes,
right
right?
person.
Because you
Yeah, it's
see,
really hard.
I mean, right after Disney, I remember coming back and seeing an ad that someone was like, oh, well, high ticket's over. High ticket's dead. That's what everybody always says. How many times have you heard email marketing is dead? Right. But high ticket's dead. And it's hard to like move past those things and keep going when you hear another expert say, like, this is a strategy that's no longer working. But I love that you said, look at your data and look at your gut, because either one of those alone isn't going to tell you the whole story. But those two together, if you know based on your data and based on your gut that this is where you're supposed to be going, do not give up. That is such great advice.
I'll say one last thing. Ashley just said, if you hear the experts saying
Mm-hmm.
XYZ, that person might be an expert, but they are not an expert in you. They don't know you. They don't know your clients. They don't know your capabilities. They don't know your capacity. They don't know your audience. So to heck with whatever they say and just, yeah, look at your data, look at your gut, and make your move.
That gave me goosebumps. I'm going to clip that and like listen to that over and over. They might be an expert, but they're not an expert in you. That's so good. Well, this is amazing. Okay, so tell people, especially people who are like, I obviously need that $9 membership now. Tell people how they can find you, how they can sign up.
Yeah. So if you're wondering how you can use email marketing to grow your coaching business, of course, I'd love for you to join my email list. You can actually do that for free. You can go directly to lizwilcox.com. In the top right hand corner, there is a hot pink button. You can't miss it. You're going to get an entire welcome sequence already written for you, designed to help guide new leads into, warm leads that will get your coaching packages. You're also going to get 3 newsletter samples. So you can see what we were talking about at the top of the hour about that 20-minute newsletter framework. And if that's not enough, you're going to get 52 subject lines for a year full of prompts. I know writing from scratch totally sucks. Let me do it for you. That's lizwilcox.com, hot pink button. And then, of course, if you want to try out the membership at lizwilcox.com, there's a yellow bar at the top. You can click that and check it out.
I love it. And you guys will see really quickly that when she talks about the hot pink button, and you can see right now on her screen, if you're watching this on YouTube, that she is all about the neon colors, everything 90s. And I almost said boy bands, but it's not just any boy band.
Just
It's
in sync.
it's only in sync. So you'll get to know a lot of Liz's personality, which is so fun and like on brand for her. So it's really fun to watch all of that. So thank you so much. This is all we have for you today, friends. Thank you so much, Liz, for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for listening. I cannot wait to see what you do with your business and email marketing.
Same. And I can't wait to see people show up in your Facebook group and get some of that guidance. I love seeing names that I recognize in there. It's really fun. So if you're listening now, and you are at the point where you're ready to kind of talk through with someone to have some hand holding as you're deciding where you want your coaching business to go, maybe you've decided that you want a low ticket membership. Maybe this has helped you see, nope, I want to stick with one-on-one clients. Then let's chat. You can go to talkwithashley.com and book a time, and we can just start to strategize what you want your coaching business to look like that is unique to you and the goals that you have for your life. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe just so you get those notifications of future episodes. And if you're listening on a podcasting app, it's super helpful if you review the show, if you share it with people. It just helps us reach more individuals. So again, thanks for being here, and I will see everyone next week.